A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, let's go to Michael Goodwin, Pulitzer Prize winning columnist for the New York Post. Michael, this is definitely going to be an issue in the debates tomorrow night. And sadly, by the way, you may know this, Michael, that tomorrow is also the funeral of that 12-year-old girl, that beautiful Jocelyn Ngari, who was brutally murdered allegedly by these two guys, also from Venezuela. A horrible case in Houston, Texas. And then they have the debate tomorrow night, and Joe Biden's going to sit out there say the border is fine, Michael. I'm going to throw tomatoes and apples when I hear and see that.
Well, listen, I'm with Rudy Washington that I cannot stand to hear Mayorkas talk because he just is so unflappable and so cold while he lies about everything. I mean, this idea that the border is secure, everything's working as expected. I mean, it's unbelievable that this person is in charge of what is clearly a great threat to American safety and security and to the crime wave that we see in New York and other places. Look, it doesn't take every illegal immigrant to be a criminal for it to be a crisis. If you're letting in 10, 11, 12 million people, even if 1% or 2% of them can cause a lot of havoc, a lot of pain, and just damage families, neighborhoods. So this idea that somehow everything is fine because if they have a criminal record, we deport them, well, how would we know if they have a criminal record, as you guys were just discussing? And by the way, those countries don't want them back.
Right, that's what I was going to say.
Happy to see them go.
Right. By the way, the other thing too, Michael, all I thought about is they'll come right back again. I mean, how is that stopping the? You know, the other thing, Michael Goodwin, this incensed me. So I'm watching Mayorkas. You can tell my blood is boiling tonight. I am furious. I'm watching Mayorkas today. And then he says, he's asked repeatedly, there were a lot of reporters asking similar questions because it's so obvious, all of these horrible crimes of late by illegal migrants. So he's asked, doesn't the Biden administration bear some responsibility? I mean, it's the policies that have created this wide open border with the 10 million plus that you're talking about. And he, with a straight face, says the only person responsible are the criminals. Those are the ones responsible. Next question. Can you imagine that with a straight face to the American public, Michael Goodwin?
Well, that's why he makes me nuts because he doesn't move. Only his mouth moves, right? His head doesn't move. His body doesn't move. He just sits there and says the most outrageous things as though they're normal. And sadly, what they have done is normalize a catastrophe. And now, you know, why is that not enough for the public, 90% of the public to say, not voting for Joe Biden? Well, that's it.
Michael.
On that issue alone, he has disqualified himself. Therefore, I'm not voting. Why is the public still considering Joe Biden as a responsible candidate for 4 more years?
Yeah, I can't imagine another 4 years in this country of this kind of open border and recklessness. I agree. Judge Weinberg.
Michael, I think you're exactly right. And, you know, you can't look at Mayorkas and listen to him. I can't. But I can't listen to or watch Biden because I think, you know, every time I say, well, the worst president of my lifetime, it started off with Carter, then it moved to Obama, and now it's Biden, but this is so dangerous for our country, and there's no shame. These people will say or do anything. How do you hold Biden to account in November, and how does Trump confront him tomorrow night? With a gag order, by the way, foisted around him.
Yeah. Look, I completely agree. It is, to me, the biggest problem in the country, and as I think Rudy said, it's going to be a problem for a very long time. You know, I mean, Trump himself has said that a mass deportation is what he wants to do, but he's also acknowledged it will be very difficult to carry out. That the first time there's a family involved, the media will go crazy, and AOC will wear white and cry, and the country will say, "Oh, can't we have a heart?" I mean, they're coming in such numbers that no, I'm sorry, we can't have a heart, because they have overwhelmed our society and our system, and they have exposed us to great danger, both on the terrorism front, which was inevitable all along, and just on the criminal side of things, and the vast cost of housing, educating, medical care, transportation, food. I mean, there was a time when to be an immigrant in the United States, you needed either to be self-supporting or you needed a sponsor who would be responsible for you. You were not coming here to be a ward of the state. All of these people are wards of the state. None of them legally can work when they first come across, so they are coming across as charity cases. I mean, that's a whole other dimension to the years-long effort that it will take to unwind
and not vetted, and not vetted, just because they cannot be vetted, just like you said, you know.
And Michael, this is going to be for generations,
right?
You know, we're going to be taking care of people for the next 2-3 generations, and where the money comes from.
Well, and we're going to be finding out of people's criminal background
Right.
for 2, 3, 4, 5 generations.
Go back to what Michael said. Michael, right now, the deficit is about $35 trillion. It's estimated it could go as high as $50 trillion. You have more and more of these people coming in. It's all the costs. We cannot sustain a safe America unless you have a strong defense budget. We can't pay for all the entitlements unless you have the resources to do that. You have the Biden administration wants to raise taxes, which will kill productivity and jobs and services and income. And you have all these people getting a free ride. And if you say they can work, then you're giving them a ticket to vote. So how are they going to vote with their own pocketbooks? Your comment.
Yeah, Michael, we just have about a minute left. Go ahead,
Sure.
Michael.
Well, look, I think that all of these things have acted as incentives for more and more of them to come. I mean, that has been my argument against Mayor Adams, that he rolls out the welcome wagon. They greet the buses. They welcome them to New York. They give them goodie bags. They bus them to a hotel somewhere. Why wouldn't they all come here if they're going to get that? And then he and the governor are fighting the federal government to let them work. Well, that is an invitation to come to New York. And the whole thing boggles your mind. At some point you say, can this really be happening? Is there some dimension I'm missing here? Is it really this negative, this open, that they are letting millions of people come in here and we are supposed to take care of them? But I will end with quickly a good, happy note.
Yeah, please, because we need some.
Jamal Bowman, in his debate with Latimer, said that his way to address it was the root causes, and America needed to do a Marshall Plan for all of South America and Latin America. So thank God he's gone.
Yeah, good riddance.
That's the nuttiness of the left. Open borders, and we'll take care of your family at home, too. It's insane.
It is insane. And, of course, voters said, no, thank you, Jamal Bowman. Michael Goodwin, thank you, though. We appreciate having you here.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.